Julius Evola, one of my favorite philosophers, esotericist, and traditionalist, believed in the importance of spiritual discipline and initiation as a means of attaining higher states of consciousness and aligning oneself with the world of tradition. He has become a controversial figure even after his death because of previous political alignments of his. I believe it is an error, though, to try to put Evola in an ideological box or single category, because although some immediately put traditionalism as a far right-leaning philosophy, he had so many beliefs that tend to lean towards today's political left, I would say. Particularly his views on homosexuality and overall gender. These are not shared by the modern right, all the while advocating for the traditional metaphysical appointing from birth into classes or castes which dictate your future. Of course, that is very far right, but that, as you can see, he has a very split different opinions. One of Evola's central beliefs was that the modern world had lost touch with its spiritual roots, and that individuals seeking to reconnect with the transcendent must undergo a series of trials by fire in order to purify themselves and awaken to higher levels of consciousness. This idea that man should practice and safeguard their direct connection to the divine is basically the core of all mystical orders and mystery schools: Rosicrucianism, Illuminati, Freemasonry, Theosophical Society, the Golden Dawn, etc. The middle pillar of the Tree of Life, the Kabbalah Tree of Life, represents the beings that have the direct path from this plane of existence to the divine. These would be the fiery depicted archangels, for instance, a motif that you will see throughout esoteric teachings, and Enochian magic per se. These trials could take many forms, but were typically physical ordeals that tested an individual's strength, courage, and endurance. For example, Evola believed that mountaineering could be a form of spiritual discipline, as it required the climber to confront their fears and push themselves beyond their physical and mental limits, and it's something that you just kind of undertake as a solo endeavor. We can immediately tie this back to my previous video on the shadow self and the various occult philosophies or rituals in which this notion was applied, for further enlightenment or overcome in the setting of a trying ritual or meditation. Evola also believed in the importance of ritualized trials, such as the ancient Roman rite of the sacred fire, which involved walking barefoot across a bed of hot coals as a symbol of purification and transcendence. According to Evola, such trials were necessary for individuals seeking to align themselves with the world of tradition and to access higher levels of spiritual awareness and power. In addition to these physical trials, Evola also believed in the importance of a metaphysical trial, such as the symbolic battle between individuals seeking to establish their rightful place in a social order. I guess like kings battling other kings back in the day. In traditional societies, such battles might take the form of duels, jousts, or even physical contests in which the victor was seen as being chosen by fate or destiny to lead. And that was the natural order of things and the rule of tradition in Evola's eyes. Overall, Evola's belief in the importance of trials by fire reflected his conviction that spiritual awakening required a radical break from the modern world and a willingness to embrace the challenges and dangers of the traditional path, or the esoteric path. While his ideas have been controversial and been criticized for their elitism and glorification of violence, they continue to influence many contemporary and esoteric and traditional movements. Aleister Crowley, the British occultist and writer, wrote about the flaming cross in a number of his works, including his book Magic Without Tears. In Crowley's system of occultism, the flaming cross was a symbol of the union of opposites, representing the intersection of the horizontal and vertical axis of the universe. It was seen as a symbol of spiritual illumination and enlightenment, as well as a representation of the transformative power of fire and alchemy and so much more. According to Crowley, the flaming cross could be used in a variety of magical rituals and practices, including meditation, visualization, and ceremonial magic. It was often associated with the element of fire and was seen as a means of channeling the transformative power of this element in order to achieve spiritual growth and development. In addition to its use in magical practice, the flaming cross also held important symbolic significance in Crowley's philosophy. It was seen as a representation of the spiritual journey in which the individual moves from darkness to light, from ignorance to knowledge, and from death to rebirth. Overall, Crowley saw the flaming cross as a powerful symbol of transformation and enlightenment, and it remains as an important symbol in contemporary esoteric and occult traditions influenced by his work. There is some evidence to suggest that involvement in ceremonial magic, such as Solomonic magic particularly, it can be obsessive, and if you do it to an extreme manner, it can be linked to many mental health problems and probably even death. One way in which ceremonial magic could potentially impact people this way is through its use of intense and prolonged concentration, visualization, and other mental and emotional states. These practices are challenging and can be traumatic for some individuals, particularly those with pre-existing conditions, such as extreme anxiety or depression. In addition, some practitioners of ceremonial magic maybe become isolated or detached from mainstream society, as their beliefs and practices obviously can be seen as unconventional to some and even taboo. The isolation can exacerbate existing mental illnesses and may lead to feelings of loneliness, alienation, disconnection from reality. There's tons of disorders that could come from that. There have been reports of individuals experiencing, psychotic breaks and delusions as a result of involvement in occult practices, including ceremonial magic. So, while cases are rare of that, they do highlight the potential risks associated with engaging in intense or extreme forms of spiritual practice. But this is the idea that these practitioners, and as Evla would put it, they're putting their role into tradition and taking on a trial by fire and something dangerous and something personal, a solo journey to your own self, esoteric enlightenment. And again, this is like confronting the shadow self, and all these things are kind of intertwined together in your initiation towards occult philosophies and your greater knowing of reality and how to utilize things like imagination, intention, and emotion. It is worth noting, however, that not all individuals who practice ceremonial magic or other forms of occultism experience negative health effects, obviously. Many practitioners find these practices to be a source of meaning, purpose, and spiritual growth. They're able to maintain a healthy balance between their spiritual beliefs and their everyday life. The potential impact of ceremonial magic on mental health per se is complex, and obviously there's other determining factors, including individual susceptibility, the intensity and duration of practice, the social and cultural context in which it is pursued. As with any spiritual or religious practice, it is important for individuals to approach ceremonial magic with caution and self-awareness, which is what it's all about, and it's that self-awareness, and knowing that you are ready to confront those things. We see that mystery schools or occult initiatories or even advanced practices require the individual to face fear and take on a situation that at least has dangers depicted or associated with the rite, in which they have to overcome and to further enlighten themselves and improve their direct relationship with the divine. This is that spiritual alchemy that is often spoken about in Hermeticism, and particularly Rosicrucianism, an idea that has said once mastered unlocks the philosopher's stone and never-ending life. Rosicrucians practiced alchemy in the physical sense of turning base metals into gold, but more so, they referred to that rough ashlar again, or a base metal, and turning that into spiritual gold. Zinc was said to be placed in water with rose petals and an electric current, and other compounds combined with the power of mental intent. And the practitioners said that that was the secret to the gold creation. And I read that in a book. It's just interesting. There's a lot of speculation as to whether they actually achieved that, and there's lots of stories that do say that they were successful, but this is for another video. the Rosicrucians, very interesting. The Golden Rosy Cross, the Flaming Cross Aleister Crowley spoke of, and Julius Evola with the Rite of Fire constantly throughout these themes. We also mentioned Manly P. Hall's understanding of demons and how they represented the elements, like the element of fire. Just interesting how these things kind of play into each other and combine to form the greater school of esoteric knowledge and occult philosophy. Anyways, thanks for listening.